I say let's hop back into it. Welcome back to the To Be Fair show. I am your host Jonny P,
Oh, here, real.
It's Q.
and we back.
Yes, sir.
What's going? It's been a little while, boys. Back in back in the trap. Feels good. How y'all boys been doing?
Good. I've been great. Real.
Hey, nah, I've been good too, man. Usually I come in hot. I've been,
Man, say he been
I'm,
chilling.
I'm
He
happy.
said he got the AC on.
Yeah.
I'm
Nah, I
cool.
feel it.
I'm cool.
Yeah. I guess for me last weekend I went to DreamvilleFest.
Who gives a shit?
That was oh I think y'all wanted to talk about it. That's why I wore the shirt. They put in the group chat, hey, talk about Dreamville.
Oh no, that was just
but
a
hey.
secret. I was telling him it was just a secret. You weren't supposed to hear that.
Oh, okay.
That supposed to be on the private chat.
But no, I mean, for me that it was a great experience. I've went to the past 2 of them or 3 of them, I think. And each year, like it's its own different little experience. But I enjoyed it. It was amazing. A bunch of black folk. Shout out to the blanket communities. If you've been there, you kind of know what that is. It should get real territorial out there. But all in all, it was an amazing time. If I was to say a couple of my favorite artists, I think JID had a really good set. Obviously, the Drake Cole, they had a good set. Usher's set was fire. Waka had he had a slept on set.
Hey, no, that's crazy.
And he brought out Travis Porter too. And they ran it down too.
Okay. Yeah.
So it felt
I
like
know that
it
was
2012.
hard.
Yeah.
2012 Atlanta. That shit. I heard Usher was playing with people's feelings out there.
Oh no, that was the perfect troll too. That shit was the perfect troll.
What was up with what was it? J. Cole had the audience singing to Drake.
No, that was Drake had
They
the
had
audience
singing
singing
to J.
to Cole.
Cole.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty dope. Like,
No, that's lit.
Yeah.
No, that's what's up. Doing some renovations at the crib.
That's lit.
Trying to, you know what I mean?
Handyman Rail.
Hey, a little bit, you know what I mean?
You get the bathroom built, shout out to Rail.
Hey,
He
yeah,
get
man,
you.
don't shout out to me, shit.
Man,
I
say he
gotta-
do.
get you.
Man, say he do floors, drywall.
And he got it at the discount.
Ain't no, hey, that's absolutely not.
He won't knock you over the head.
That's absolutely
Man,
not. I'm
say he
going for
do
niggas
drywall,
dome pieces.
all
I'm
of
talking
that.
about sledgehammer, John. But nah, it was cool. It's always dope. Me and my old head senior. Yeah, man, we
Senior
get
in the
together and knock some little projects out. It's, you know what I mean? And that's one thing I can tell you, man. I love doing that handyman, like on hands on, much more than I like what I do. You know what I mean? Every day. It's just like it's something about that level of creativity and then being able to see that work. You know what I mean?
I was gonna say when you've done.
Yeah, just being able to step back and just see the before and after, even if it's not completely done. Just you get so much more gratification out of it.
You get to see that progress.
Yeah. I rock with it too. Made me feel like I'm doing some man shit,
Nah, that's what's up.
staring at screens all the time.
So what we got on the docket, Johnny?
Well, I'll tell y'all how I've been doing. I've been
I ain't care about that shit.
Your boy, your boy. I ain't gonna lie. I've had better, weeks. 2 weeks. I was down and out with the vid. So got my test. We good. We ain't got no more mandate. Fauci didn't let me out. So we good to go. But just the whole quarantine thing. It be weird to me. I like to work. Like you said, I like to be going and acting and having to sit on your ass for a couple of days. It let you do a lot of too much thinking, honestly, sometimes, man.
Yeah,
it was right.
Sure.
It's just inconvenient for me being at the end of my month. So it kind of affected my money more than I wanted to. And then not being able to, I was supposed to go to Dreamville, couldn't do that. I couldn't shoot. It's just a lot of shit you can't do. You can't hit up. You got time off work, but there don't be no vacation because you can't really kick it with nobody like that. So you just be like in the house. So that was a little weird for me, trying to, and it kind of put me in a little weird mindset. And then, this week it's I was kind of down after coming out of quarantine. I was a little down and out, not really knowing, what's wrong with me. And I kind of figured it out this weekend. But it was the 4th anniversary of my grandmother's passing. And so subliminally that shit kind of had me in a weird mental space. And I was trying to figure like you was telling, like last time we talking about figuring out why you feeling weird. And then that's something we talked about, and then I immediately had to like apply that shit. And once I realized that, I tried to do something didn't quite work. And so before I came here today, I actually stopped by my grandmother's gravesite for the first time. And, just talked to her for a little bit. And it was actually, I feel really good. It's just, I don't know, but it's just, I feel better. Having been in that kind of funk, I woke up and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go do it. And like I was happy, first time I woke up like feeling good in a while, like a week or so. And I was like, I'm gonna go do that. And I went out there. I spent about 30, 45 minutes out there just chopping it up with my
Glad
girl
you
and
back,
shit.
brother.
And I just felt so like I cried, but when I left, it was like I felt
Weight was
lighter.
lifted.
Yeah, I felt a whole lot lighter. So I just I was just happy to get that. Also coming back and shooting with the guys. I knew I was gonna be around family today, so I woke up feeling good today after being in a funk. So, but that's something I wanted to kind of segue into a little bit as far as like what I wanted to talk about today is like, and we ain't got to stay on it too long. We talked about it last time, good, but that emotional intelligence and how like your energy can affect the group, and how you might not even know what kind of energy you bringing into a group and why it's important to and why you owe it not just to yourself but any team that you own, any work environment, family environment you in, how much you owe it not to yourself but everybody to do that work and to be able to come in with a clear conscience, clear heart, and just be able to do what y'all agreed to do and come in and do that work. So that's something I wanted to touch on, the importance of that. Crying, the cry help. I don't think men do that enough. I think, men try to hold shit in too much and then it creates other problems. So that's really what I had on my heart as far as what's been on my mind. Something, just felt like that was a good place to start it off. I don't know.
And I appreciate it too. And I want to say I appreciate you bringing that conversation to us last time as well, having that, because throughout since then I've actually been saying the same thing to people around me. It's about being intentional and understanding. First off, is identifying what things actually make you happy. Like sometimes, like I said, I'll wake up in a good mood, and then you think it's just because I just feel good today. I just rolled off the right side of the bed, and it's not that. There's something, and you have to find out what it is in order to. And I'll say just to attempt. So that was my thing, just to actually start to attempt to make these days intentionally better, based on just the idea that okay, maybe it was this.
Because sometimes, and I find like I go back. Sometimes the first thing you do might not work because it was Friday was the anniversary, so I went to my grandmother's house. So somebody got other family, my auntie lived there now, and I was like, yeah, because when I realized I talked to my mom, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go by the house, And I thought that was gonna do it. I thought that was gonna, I was like, I'm gonna just ride by the house, I'm gonna chill for. I thought that was gonna do it. But then I left and I felt almost worse than I did before I went there. And I was like, the vibes weren't the same, bro. It's just, that wasn't it. And so, I thought about it Saturday, yesterday, I said, I thought, what? And then before I went to sleep, I kind of was like, it's going to, if it's clear, if it's not raining, I'm going to stop, I'm going to stop by, the cemetery before I come up here.
Did you subconsciously, were you like almost trying to talk yourself out of it
Oh
while
yeah,
you were there?
yeah. But like even beforehand, like that's why I was trying to like, well, it can't be. I tried to put it on something else and all of that, thinking it was something else. Other than that, I was like, well, that's not it. But then right before I went to sleep, it kind of like clicked, and then I was like, if it ain't raining, and then I woke up, I saw the sun, I was like, yeah, it's
Beautiful.
gonna be a good day. So, but sometimes it's not the first thing you do. It's gonna get you out of that funk. Or sometimes when you've identified the issue, your first solution might not work. You may have to go back to the drawing board and figure out another solution, and we might 2 or 3 times.
That's why I said attempt.
Yeah. It's just it don't always work out like that first time, but you got to be committed to it, just like anything else. But
Yeah, no, yeah, I don't know. I don't have a bunch. I think that you kind of like articulated everything that I would have said fairly well. But I mean, just to kind of drill back to what I said last week is kind of like that emotional intelligence piece is like being able to identify how you feel, and okay, this feeling comes from somewhere, and then searching for the identifying piece to that and kind of working through that. I think that is amazing that you kind of did that and went through those steps and found a solution that was able to kind of settle your temperament and like uplift you and your mood in general.
Oh yeah.
And that's something that I know I strive to do when I feel some kind of way. So it's good to kind of see that in practice as well.
Because a lot of times I normally don't do it. I'm a withdrawer. I think we talked about that
Mm-hmm.
last time. I'm sad. I'm a sad. I'll be listening to R&B music and slow music in the house. Won't open the blinds and just be like, I can get in, like I can wallow. I can I can just I'm sad. I'm gonna be sad. But
That's it.
you gotta, and it's sometimes comfortable. It's easy to be sad. It's easy to. Oh, I'm depressed. I'm gonna just.
And see,
I'm gonna wear it and not do nothing about it.
and I think that for me, that's probably the thing that I know I have to be more intentional about is actually like living in the emotion a little bit. Where like I know for me, it's only a limit to where I allow myself to like digest an emotion. Like I can't necessarily like sometimes I won't actually get all the way through it because of like I have enough like fail safe setup to where like
You're gonna kick yourself out of it
yes.
eventually.
But sometimes it is good to kind of like sit through it. Like we didn't all had like a breakup or something like that where
It's
like
sucks.
that shit and you just go to sleep. That's what I just be like, all right, let me take my ass to goddamn sleep. Or like whatever it is, and you so that when I wake up, I already have something to do, and I ain't got to think about it. X, Y, and
Or you
Z.
go to sleep so you ain't gotta sit with that.
No, for
Yeah,
sure.
it's a lot easier just to.
And I think that
I'm
we
gonna go to
we as
sleep.
men, I can't speak for women because I haven't lived that experience, but I think we as men come up with that as that defense mechanism. You know what I mean? That natural defense mechanism is to just act like it's not, just do away with the whole thing and just keep going on. And I think that kind of is where we start to dig ourselves into that hole without
and then it
actually
come out inside
addressing
of the
it.
explosion.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, because sometimes I was thinking that a lot of time with grief, like a lot of time men do that to the point where you don't truly grieve.
For sure.
I feel like it's even going back to my situation, like with my grandmother. She had dementia, so like the time like right after the death, it wasn't necessarily like I think that grieving process was like a little like delayed because it was more like she's not suffering anymore. So the missing of it was like a celebration of life more, but not doing that grieving process, they don't go away. It's not like you're gonna always miss your grandmother. That's something that's a big part of you. So even if it don't hurt as much when it initially happened, you can kick it down the road and stuff, but eventually you're gonna have to pick that can up and figure out what that's all about. And I think a lot of times as men, that's something we do a real good job at. Is I've done it, I still do it to this day. Is kicking that can down the road. I'm not gonna deal with that until whenever. But then when there come a day where there's no more road or whatever, you gotta pick that can up, and the further you kick it down the road, the more shit they get in it. The more the more dirtier it's gonna be. The more you're gonna have to work to clean that shit off because you done kicked it down the road for the last mile instead of picking that bitch up and looking at it. And that's not. And sometimes with sorrow, grief, and stuff, you gotta hit that rock bottom before you can bounce back up.
For sure.
You can go halfway down, but you ain't never really deal with a lot of those issues before you hop back up and get back to the world. A lot of times with work, it's hard to go all the way to rock bottom before you get back up. Sometimes you don't have a choice.
Now,
You
I
gotta
think
work.
I ain't even going fraud. Like I've been saying this for a minute. I think that there was a conscious effort to make sure that there was not enough time for you to be able to take in order to deal with like a whole bunch of different things. Like you know what I mean, dealing with the when I say that I mean like the like work schedules, like the idea of 40 hours. They came up with that intentionally based on data that they had come up with, and I haven't done the research to know exactly how they came up with the number, but I'm smart enough to understand that they didn't just pull it out the ass.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that was to me, it's an intentional thing where, especially if you have two people in one house doing that, then how much time do you actually have to address your
Issues
subconscious
with deal with
mind
stuff. That's
and
why.
address your kid's subconscious mind or address, you know what I mean? A whole bunch of different things. I think that, we have to be very, very intentional because the subconscious, and I've been talking about this and A. Dot know, you know what I mean? I've been talking about it with a good bit of different men around me. It's like that subconscious mind, we underplay the strength of it.
Mm-hmm.
We underplay the strength of it and think that. And the thing is, like, we've been kicking the can, and it'll make you believe that you actually have found strength.
Are you all right?
Yeah, like I'm still
good,
walking around, but
yeah.
you just kicking that,
You
John.
just ain't picked that up. Once you
Yeah,
pick it up, once
I
you pick
swear.
it
I
up,
remember.
it's definitely gonna change things. So, and like I say, I think they call that the hamster wheel, like the life we live in, because it's designed for you not to. They want you working productive. They don't want you sitting dealing with your emotional intelligence. It's not productive for the system. You being a bad cog in the system, you being a bad piece. You ain't being productive, and that's a lot of times success. All that stuff in life is based off how capitalistically successful you are,
Right.
how much money I'm putting away, how much how much I'm investing, what's my bank account looking like, what's my like. And that's where we base a lot of success, and it's societally. It's what we've all chosen. It's not just any one individual choice we made, but there are effects of that. There are repercussions for us having, as a society, made that choice. So that's just something I wanted to bring up. I had it on my heart. I wanted to touch on it a little bit.
I love it.
I don't know if y'all got anything else, but we kind of in a good space. We talking about capitalism. One of the other, topics I had was I'm sure you the BRICS. What they trying to do with the dollar, and I feel like the one of the other camps, the wheels of society, is kind of got us blinded, or I don't think enough people talk about that as far as like on government. I don't feel like we just letting shit happen to us. Nobody's.
You think so?
I feel like it. Yeah, man. I mean, all I've seen in politics is they've been talking about
a
bunch of crazy issues, and
that'd be the algorithm. I guess I know my algorithm is definitely touched on BRICS a decent amount this past 2 weeks, maybe it's been.
Yeah, but I mean, the news outlets haven't really been talking about it either.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's
what I mean. The news outlets.
Yeah.
I know the algorithms.
The algorithm will throw it in there, but
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, because I know I don't specifically watch like the CNNs and the NBCs and the daytime news.
I try to keep up with it. I try to read enough.
And that's something that I want to be a little bit more intentional about. But I know conversation wise, a lot of the financial channels that I tap in with, a lot of like the general discord, I've seen it a decent amount. In which one thing that I did learn, just kind of looking up a couple things. So BRICS is not new at all. Like that's been it's been a thing since 2002.
Yeah.
And then I think South Africa added inside like 2010.
Well, I think Saudi Arabia and Iran.
Well, that's the China piece that's starting to happen.
Yeah.
But BRICS has been around just like the EU. Or like anything, but recently they have made a concerted effort where they're trying to create their own currency and pay for oil. And it's the big thing is the petrodollar.
Right.
It's all these countries buy oil in dollars. And the changing of that is what's really gonna theoretically
bring down the value
fuck shit up because those countries, like if you look at global GDP, like if you add up theirs, it's like 25%, and the United States right now is at 24%. And so if they create their own currency, it's gonna have more weight on the global economy than our dollar would. Even if we continue everything else we doing, just them banding together is gonna take away power. And I don't think people talk about like
Saudi Arabia, if they do, I know that China been they just been in a bag like economically for like the past 10 years.
Well, here's a crazy thing.
They doing a new age colonization, but if they do get
Silk
Saudi
Road,
Arabia,
it's a way that they go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say they do get Saudi Arabia and whatever the other country, Iran.
Yeah.
I believe maybe this is what you had sent me. That they will pretty much have all the major producers of oil, but not
all. There's still a lot of ones that we are still allies with, but those are the
major.
No,
I
thought that like the major. Those are
the major ones.
But
still
I guess
enough
this
out
was
there.
also something that I thought about in that. With the introduction of the electric car, like how big of an impact is that going to be in 10 years?
And see, the thing is that that's a great question because based on, and me and O had talked, we've been kind of talking about this for a little while now. And the thing about it is that they are saying that even let's say that this does happen and it does affect the dollar, that's still down the line at least 10.
But
it's not so the implementation of that electric vehicle, as they talking about phasing out these gas powered, I feel like this thing was they already knew. Like this was something that's already knew, and this is why the electric car, even with Obama bailing out Tesla back in what was that? I forget what year it was, but Obama bailing out Tesla, that started this whole thing with this push for the electric cars.
Well, let me ask you this. I guess my question is, was the dollar always doomed to be failed then if people were buying, like the petrol, if people were buying oil?
What can sustain itself forever? what can sustain itself forever? That was the thing. Is a change is going to happen
I don't know if
sooner
the
or
dollar
later.
gonna fail either.
Oh no, I don't see failing as it not failing.
Like even with the cash app, like the federal cash app
Well,
that
maybe
they're
not
doing, like they're
failing, but
making. I'll put it like this: from outside looking in, I'm not like super like in tune, but it does seem as though America is starting to make a smart transition, and it's starting to recognize. Like I was looking at, like they're starting to build like these smart cities inside like Nevada and different places like that, and there is like prerequisites of electric cars.
right.
But then you can go to like the whole idea of now starting to transition the federal dollar to
Into
like
the
the whole
coin.
cash app shit. I think these are smart transitions that they're banking a little bit more on. I don't know, like technology and the progression of shit, and somewhat to combat, as though you were just saying, like what is happening on the other side.
I think this is more so about the surveillance. Like they're just really trying to keep up with everything that we're spending, and that's what I think this is mostly about. Like we're moving into a place where there no like, especially with this.
I'm talking about the digital dollar.
Basically,
Okay.
they'll know every single dollar where we're spending our money, pretty much every transaction. I'm not crazy about it.
But and here's another thing too. They can also, just like over there in China and stuff, if it's all digital, they can
Lock it
cut
down.
your dollar off. Motherfucker, you go out there and say something about the government they don't like. If it ain't no like bills and all your shit in the cloud, guess what the government can also do a whole lot easier than they could a year before
Oh yeah,
that.
they passed some paperwork for
It's
that now with that.
cut your like you can't even spend your money.
Yeah.
To where you could have $10,000 in your little Cash App joint, but if they say this account is flagged and then you can't even spend your money, your $10,000 is now useless.
And you know something that I'll say like I get like and this is one thing that I will say I understand completely where it's very American and very productive for us to look at those things like what if they cut your dollar off? But then like with like yeah, you know the TVs they got cameras in them now, and you know I understand like all of these things that people say, and you know what I mean. I understand being I don't want to say afraid, but being cognizant of the existence of the ideas and shit. But my thing is, nigga, what are they gonna cut your dollar off for? What are you doing?
I mean, but the thing
What do you
is,
got? No, I get it. I get it. But I'm just saying,
my
like
thing-
that's how I be looking at it.
bro, but in China, like it just look
Like you're having
you can
the argument the way that I like.
you
to
can
have
look at
arguments.
and that's
you're,
fine.
you're at the exact point.
That is fine. Like that we can let's have
Or
it.
debates,
Like let's have it. But like morality and legality are two different things. So something could be morally, everybody could agree that morally it's acceptable, but if legally it's not, no matter what it could be anything. Like with the TikTok thing we were just talking about. Motherfuckers talking about giving people 20 years for using the VPN to access TikTok.
Yeah.
And so what if they decided it's not 20 years, but they cut your money off for you? Is that something that's morally wrong to do? Or is it something that they just decided?
No, I understand that.
And that's the thing. Like
my thing is
with real money, with real currency, there's no way the government can get it. If I got whether it's gold, silver, anything, if I got it in my possession, there's nothing the government can do. If it's on an app or something, there is a way they can get to your money. Just hypothetically,
Do you carry cash around?
I completely understand and agree. I agree with that.
Not always. Not always.
Like
I got a
it's
couple
most
dollars.
most of your money digital right now.
I got.
Nigga, just go ahead. Try to act like I got.
Yeah, that's cool. I get it, and I'm at risk of it too. Like right now,
Everybody like
And
we've
all
already
are.
transitioned. Nobody
We have,
keeps
yes.
big watts of cash. Like we're already a digital society.
Okay, I mean that's a scary place to be.
Yeah,
That's all I'm
it's
saying.
not like the bank actually has that bread that you got in there.
Them motherfuckers investing it right now. That's how
Exactly. They
Silicon
don't
Valley
have
is.
that bread.
That's how them niggas went under.
They charging the nigga interest on that bread right now.
Right now, this is my account. They collecting the interest.
Yeah.
on it.
Stop acting
No,
like
I-
you
I-
don't
They
know how
giving
money
you
works,
point
nigga.
0.001.
They taking 10% on it.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it, bro. I ain't crazy. I ain't still. I already know I'm as acceptable as I'm talking about this. I'm susceptible, but I'm saying, does that make it right?
No, I feel it.
Like, just
Well, no, but I think that all right. So there's like a couple different conversations when we have this that we have to merge them together. Where because this is based off the idea of America's rebuttal to BRICS and what
Right.
they're doing to actually compensate for what. So a lot of times I use this. This is a broad example, but I use this example: the '92 crime bill, right? Like the intention of the bill and its repercussions were two separate things.
Right. Okay.
And I think that we're speaking that same language right now. Where
hold on, let me ask you this, and I apologize to cut you off right there. Mm-hmm. Do you believe wholeheartedly that there was all pure intentions
on what?
In the bill.
And before you
answer about the 92 crime bill,
I got another. I want to add on to that question too.
All right,
you just used that example. I would have let that rock.
Okay, cool.
I'm sorry. I just had to because it just hit my heart.
And then can I add on to it before you go?
I want to no. Let me answer that and then just add your space.
Okay.
So you said pure intention. So I think that's a loaded word in itself. So I would say that with American politics in general, nothing's pure intention. Okay. There's a dollar behind everything. But what I will also say is that if you sit and you watch anything from that time period, the major black leaders were all pushing for this.
For sure.
And the community
the neighborhood
were
was
pushing.
too. Yeah.
So
blindly is where
the black church
no, for sure.
Was the biggest supporter.
Because again, like
that's the only reason why I brought it up, just to make sure we have that level
of
understanding.
So I think that as it's been like the narrative that's been put out is that this was bad. It was always thought as bad, and nobody was behind it, and it was bad.
Oh yeah, no, that's
and what I'm saying is the fact that this was something that had support
for sure,
and the repercussions of it to me is what changed the narrative of it. When we seen what actually happened, I think there's so many different things that have negative repercussions that you don't necessarily know when it happens. Like you can use it's just a levy of like different examples of that.
But let me ask you this, because here's my.
Let's begin a conspiracy.
No, it's not a conspiracy, but it's we know in the '92 crime bill where it was good intentions, but we see where it's with. How do we keep that from happening again? How do us as the American public support smarter legislations where it's not the repercussion 20 years down the line to where we're all like, well, we shouldn't have.
At the same time,
like how do we make smarter decisions for people?
Right. Well, that's the evolution of like writing bills.
I was just about to say we're not a part of the actual creation of these things, so we're going to be the ones that end up having the whole because you know how many pages
and it's so easy to critique shit in 2020 hindsight.
For sure.
So it's mad shit that's happening right now that's going to have amazingly negative shit.
For sure.
And we don't know what those things are. And there's some things that we're about to be right behind.
So
that we're agreeing with. That's
right, exactly.
I have to disagree with that. That's the history of like literally like
the author of that 92 bill that you're speaking of has actually came out and said he has no regrets over that bill. And that like he's proud of that bill to this day. He knew what, but you don't know who the author of it was?
Tomorrow, Joe Biden,
our president.
Yeah.
I knew he was a part of it. I didn't know he was.
There's footage of him. He brags about this bill. He loves the fact.
I get that. I know
loves the fact that he made this bill.
Yeah.
So he knew the intention. He knew what was going to happen with it. That's all I'm saying. There was people
I ain't gonna go. Yeah, I don't know. I ain't gonna go as far as to say that like he's still to this day standing strong. I believe that he definitely was happy that the bill when it went.
He literally said it. It's not a conspiracy. You can literally look up the footage of him saying
it. I mean, I'm not saying that it didn't happen. I'm just saying I haven't seen it myself, so I can't just go with it as is.
Let's bring it back in a little bit.
Y'all got stuck on an example.
Let's just
bring the bigger thing.
Let's just bring it back.
Hold it, fuck that, hold it.
I'll take it.
But nah, let's bring it back. Let's bring it all back in a little bit. And right now, our biggest thing is what we're looking at. Like one of the biggest things that's probably gonna happen in like our adult lifetime. Looking forward is like this with the dollar and like the fall, the end of the reign of the dollar.
But let me ask you this: do you actually believe that it's gonna be? And see, I feel like that's a part of that fear mongering shit that they be doing. Do you believe that the dollar is going to just fall, or are we gonna be number 2?
I think we're not gonna be. I think we're not gonna be the head of the world economy anymore. Where I think there's gonna be a lot of things that these other countries come up with that are gonna have way more effect on us down the line. If we're not the head of we're not the leader of the economy, versus when we're the leader of the economy, our policies kind of dictate what happens in the rest of the world. But I think if it's not, if we're not the leader, it's China's going to be running the world. And with a lot of the things,
China, Russia, but
the BRICS,
they're going to be running
the world, and we're going to have to fall in line
All right,
with
but
how
here
they
goes my
live
thing,
their
right?
lives versus
That
American
necessarily-
lives.
I think that we still get back like it's just a conundrum where the reality of it is that how do you propose that America saves the dollar then, right? And I guarantee you, however you propose it, there's going to be negative ramifications for a specific group of people, and a lot of times it's going to be the downtrodden. However, you tell me how you want to do it,
It's over
and I
with.
guarantee you that's it. Like the BRICS is getting up off exploiting. Them motherfuckers is up off exploiting.
Here's one way. Here's a
Go
crazy.
ahead. I love to hear.
Let's see. Watch this. Watch this.
Rainbows in
Hey,
Utopia.
hey, hold on. Exactly. I was about to say. You already know.
Nah,
He
it
finna
ain't
come up with
even gonna be. It ain't
some
even gonna be.
Excel
It ain't even
good
gonna
ass
be. It ain't
answer.
even
Go
gonna.
ahead.
Okay, all right. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
I'm receiving.
Put the dollar on the blockchain.
Pause.
Get the fuck out of here.
Put the
bro.
dollar on the
The
blockchain.
blockchain ain't even. It's
Hey,
not.
But I'm
All right.
saying, but if you have the currency
and watch dot-com
in a
crash
modern
happen again,
in
bro.
a modern era, if you have the currency that is based off of Ethereum type blockchain, one of those blockchains, you will have the only currency to where decentralization
Nigga,
is an
that shit
option.
is such
I'm
a
saying that.
fucking gamble.
Gamble like
that's
that.
the biggest gamble you would ever fucking take.
Time
as a
out.
country. No.
Taking the dollar off the gold standard isn't a gamble.
It's-
That
Well,
happened
no,
50
all right,
years
all right,
ago.
so-
That happened if they took the dollar off
No,
the gold.
that's
you
cool.
talking about?
But that's cool. But it was still backed by something. It was
Well-
backed by America's military.
And that's what I'm saying. Back
And,
it by
I forget
blockchain,
what
back it by
exact shit-
Ethereum, and that's a real
No,
technology that you can base
it's-
your currency off. And
Gotcha.
anybody
I'm
moving
gonna tap
forward,
out.
it's just the idea. Like, okay, it
I'll
might be
set
a
out.
bad one. but-
Yeah, I'm
I'll
gonna
say
vote
that.
no on that one every single time
Yeah.
because of the volatility of
Yeah.
crypto,
Facts.
and it's all that shit is an algorithm away from getting wiped out, bro. It's most shit that's digital that's an algorithm away. It's one smart little white kid away or Asian kid away from getting wiped out, bro. That's the
Yeah,
fact
dog.
of it. I'm gonna pass on that way, and then
So what's the
I'm
dollar
going
based
with
on now? What's the dollar's worth based on now?
Again,
But
have to
it's not
research
based on. It's
Nothing.
not really based on that.
Nothing.
No,
So how is
that?
that-
Hold on, stop.
I mean,
it
the same way
actually
that-
is. Like you can literally research what it is because I've looked it up.
It's
It's
not.
not. No, it's based on bonds. It's based on the GDP. It's based on the military.
It's based on debt.
It's based. That is
No,
also
it's based
another
on
one.
it's based on countries keeping dollars
But-
in their reserve.
That's exactly
That's
what it
what
is.
it's based on. It's
that's
nothing else other than other countries having dollars and they thinking
Gotcha.
that it's worth something. That's all it's based on.
Well, I mean, it's a fiat currency, so most of it is like the idea of theory. But
So how
there
is switching to a blockchain any more risky?
No,
than that?
but it's more risky though.
It
it's
is,
more risky.
bro.
That shit's way too volatile. I wouldn't go with that shit. I wouldn't go with that shit.
like the blockchain isn't backed by the world's best fucking military.
Facts.
It's a fact.
Well, I ain't going.
It could
Go
be.
ahead.
It could be.
I want to shoot my piece on this. I think
Yeah.
I do think the dollar is going to die eventually, but I think we're like a good while away from it. I think the
But
only
what does
reason
die mean?
I mean, like the value
You
of
gotta
it.
make sure.
I think the value of this is going to switch. Like how we see some of these third world countries. I think America is actually kind of going in that direction in the long
Never.
term.
Man, they no fucking.
We're
see, that
already,
be the
like,
part.
I
don't-
See,
I'm not
that's the
saying-
part that be
There's
getting
already
me, bro.
places in America that are third world countries. You've been to
Where?
Allegheny Street in
Where?
Philadelphia.
Right.
Where?
Allegheny
It's not a third
Street,
world country.
Allegheny
It's-
Hey,
Street.
listen to what I'm saying,
Skid
though.
Row
Listen
in
to what I'm
LA.
saying.
There's places. Motherfucking
Stop
Tent
it.
City in Charlotte was a third
That's
world
not
country.
a third world.
It's not a
It's not
third world
third world
country,
So
bro.
y'all got to stop with like these brass
listen,
exaggerations.
exactly. That's the
not
part that I
a
had to-
fucking third world country. Have you seen the favelas? Have you actually really seen like what poor people in poor countries
Hey,
actually
look like-
live
here-
like?
here what I'm
Like that's
saying.
not
Them
Allegheny
homeless
Street,
people
bro.
in
Hear what I'm
LA.
saying though. I said in the future. I don't think this is something we're going to see necessarily within like the next 10 years or even 15 years, 20 years maybe. But our kids are going to have to see that shit eventually. Like that's what I'm thinking. I think that's the only reason we have to pay attention to what's going on now because our future generations are going to have to deal with it the same way as we got to deal with stuff like our past generations did, decisions they made where they wasn't thinking about the future. It's just like we got to make this decision for right now. So I think that's kind of where we're going. Like,
Yeah, I don't see it.
Yeah,
Not the
I
fall,
don't-
like, because the
don't
thing
see the
is when you
fall.
listen when we listen to the language that's used in these, and you can just hear it. And I hate like where you will see somebody where I feel like I can't think of a guy's name, but dude who made the Rich Dad Poor Dad book, the Asian guy.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Or I don't want to say I don't want to fuck it up, but whatever. I don't mean to misstate his.
Well, he's
nationality.
Asian.
Okay,
he's not like
Asian.
he's not one of the like you didn't say
All
the
right.
countries. So you're good.
All right, just wanted to make sure. And so I just wanted to make sure. Ain't no need to hold no unnecessary shit. But yeah, so like I don't really know what his plight is on why he's saying it as strong as he's saying, because he's on that whole like the end of the, you know what I mean? And I actually
The
like
fearmonger, man.
Yeah, the fearmonger, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I don't really see it being that.
Niggas like being right, but they don't tell you how many times
They was wrong. That's the
I
facts
think
of
people,
it.
I think people
That's the facts of
fearmonger
it.
as a marketing strategy. I'm not trying
Sure,
to.
it's the same way the news do it.
I'm not trying to fearmonger, but I'm saying those are legitimate questions, and us as Americans should come up with legitimate answers also, instead of just being like.
But the
these
damn
fearmongers.
blockchain ain't.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. And my thing, I think Rail he pointed out. I think that there's things that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not specifically things that we might have complete information and knowledge to.
For sure.
And B, like it's not being like pushed heavily. Like the example to me, like the electric car, the transition to non-digital, we kind of went into a tangent on that. But I think that these are clear responses from America that's pushing to, especially if we look at the conglomerate and its power inside crude oil and how we can leverage that against us to make sure that we get off the dependency of it.
Do you trust American leadership right now?
Well, these are weird questions.
That's
Like,
not a weird question.
No,
That's
no,
not,
it is
that's not
because,
a
like-
weird
like,
question at all. That's a very valid
The
question.
short answer is no. We've never had any. When could we trust them?
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Like it's
Short
weird
answer is
because
no.
of like which presidency are you like? I just trust the president.
Yeah, this shit's nothing
Like,
new.
that's a weird way to
There's
like
certain
frame
presidents.
stuff.
George Bush, I trusted him with protecting America. He was a badass motherfucker. As far as motherfucker came over here, he was gonna send bombs, and there's certain things I trust.
Nigga,
Certain
9/11 happened on his watch. So if you trust that nigga with America that much,
Hey, you see-
the shit happened then.
you know how many bombs he sent to
No, that's
Iraq
cool,
after
but
that.
if I trust him
bro
for
wasn't playing.
America,
Like,
no, but if I trust him for America, you talking about just retaliation?
Yeah.
It would be like stopping the
Them
thing
niggas
from
still
happening.
died, bro.
Yeah,
all
that's
of them
what I'm saying,
niggas
like-
still died, bro.
Like,
that's
what
We
president
ramped
think
up
we
the
all be
security
like,
in
oh,
the
we love
airports
it?
and shit after the fact, nigga. That should have been in place beforehand.
And that's what, don't like.
So
that's why
y'all
I said
don't
like that's a
trust-
weird
we don't
question.
I ain't trust
Nah,
damn
hold
one
on.
of
I
them.
do think there's levels of trust that we tend to exude, especially with the black community. The black community overall seems to trust the Democratic Party.
Yep.
Like,
But
Yep.
it's a dub on that though.
Yeah, that's
we trust
pretty
them for
much
no
a dub.
fucking reason. Why you?
I
trusting-
agree.
why you trusting
I
Joe
totally
right now?
They
agree.
trust
Why
him.
do?
They trust him.
But for some reason,
all right, stop. So do you trust them?
That's
Like how you ask
no,
us,
I don't.
like-
I asked the question. That's, no, you know I don't trust them.
All right, so
that's why I asked the question.
All right, so let me pause it real quick. So now let's silo this conversation. Let's not talk broadly because you asked us like, and that's why I said that's a weird question to ask. Is do you trust the government? That's outside of the financial sector. Do you just trust the government? I think that 99%, but like all of us in here are going to say no, and then we'll say no for the past as many years. As we remember.
Can I change the question then? Because maybe the way I worded it was weird. Do you trust the ability of this current administration to have the wherewithal to be able to make the best decision for the country financially,
Sure.
or when it comes to like foreign affairs? Do you trust Joe Biden?
No.
Do you think
So this is what I would say.
there's other presidents I would trust more than Joe Biden?
So this is what I would say. I trust the corporation of America to make sure that
That's
America
it right
continues to
there.
run.
That's it right there.
Like-
I don't
like-
even know why you even try to use the president.
Yeah,
And like this nigga actually like is like running.
I said the leaders and
I'ma tell you
administration.
the
I didn't
truth.
say president. I said
I see it, the way I see stuff. Like, okay, like
Them boys ain't gonna let the shit happen, dog. That's what I'm saying. And if it start looking like it, they gonna send the military over there and make
Exactly.
sure we get what we need.
that's all I wanted to know. Okay, it's cool. They ain't not gonna let it. That's all I needed.
Strong on.
Yeah, run that shit. Period.
Okay, y'all. Okay. That's why I asked these. I asked the question. Y'all yelling at me like I fucking made a statement. I asked the question.
Man, you was asking an asshole question. They ain't have like a
That
real
was asshole
response. Like,
I asked the question, yo. What you got, Toe?
I forgot, man.
all right, hey, bro. So
Yeah, I was gonna say that's all I had. I'm done.
got
Yeah.
you.
I'm gonna hang it up.
I'm gonna throw over the rail. What you got for us this week?
Hey, shit. I was pondering on some things,
Okay.
you know, and You know how I always come.
Trigger warning.
You know what I mean? You know how I always come.
We gotta put that right there. Trigger warning.
All right, go ahead. What you got for us?
So this is where I have a question,
Okay.
right?
Hey, be careful.
So this is, I always get into the relationship shit. I find it the most interesting conversations that we have in today. Well, not the most interesting, but I love the conversations. Mm-hmm. So we can agree that there's a disconnect amongst men and I can't speak for any other coach, black men and black women. We can agree to that, right? There seems to be a disconnect. Do we agree on that? Do we?
I don't know if I agree with that.
That's why I asked the question. Do we?
I don't. So like a disconnect where I can't say that.
I'm very connected with black women.
Yeah, that's something I don't think the average black man and woman are disconnected. But like if we talk about like a specific thing, maybe
I'm talking about and this man right here, bro. You're gonna goat, bro. You goated over there, Johnny. What I'm talking about is as far as let's say relationships. As I said, I pose it as a relationship question. As I like relationships.
I don't think so. I think like the internet niggas that don't really be in relationships are disconnected. But I don't think that in general
I could tell you. Well, and I ain't even talking about internet niggas. I'm talking about real life people. That
if you don't ask this damn question,
nigga, that was my first question.
My bad. So
that was my first question.
But
you posed it as like. So bro, do we agree?
He wanted us to say yes.
Oh no! I thought that honestly, I thought that was the fucking easy answer. So everybody that I've been around,
you got on me for like stopping conversations when you leading somewhere.
Oh yeah, the example. Yeah. I appreciate the attempt.
Yeah,
I appreciate the attempt, but it didn't work. So,
is that the question?
No, that isn't the question. That was just like the prerequisite for me to get to my question. And again, these niggas just always shoot my shit down before I can even get the fuel in it.
Bro.
Okay.
You need our agreement. Ask your question. Say how you feel, and then ask the question.
You gotta get to the real question now.
Yeah,
we ain't fuck with the first.
I feel like in today's time, like
no. So I mean, it all kind of tied in together. So I was gonna ask, what do you think the disconnect starts at? Because if you don't believe that there is a disconnect, then there will be no way for you to answer the question. I can answer
that question.
Okay.
How you gonna answer the fucking question if there ain't no disconnect?
Because I'm gonna talk to the perceived disconnect. Because
what you're talking this man right here, bro.
Well, nah, because I think what you're talking about is a lot of internet shit where it's
nigga. I'm talking about people that are around. You know, I'm around guys like all the time. We like have a house where it's a lot of men there, and we're all talking to these niggas every day, and like talk to niggas at work
all those
every day. I don't know one dude that is not going through in his relationship currently. I can say it's somebody that I actually talk to on a basis where we having a real conversation back and forth about how relationships are going day to day. I don't know one. That's the facts. That's just the facts of my experience.
Okay, got you. And so
I'll let you go.
And so you want us to answer? What do we think? Because of that,
what do you think causes? What do you think causes the disconnects?
Gotcha. All right,
as they come.
Cool. I think there's a couple framings that I probably want to like reshape. I don't think that's specifically like a black and white thing. So you said no, but you put black.
He said black
because the only thing I can speak from. That's why I said that.
No, right, cool. But all I'm saying is I'm trying to broaden the conversation because I don't think the issues tend to be like something on like that specific line. This is like
I'm gonna allow it. I'm gonna allow it.
I'm not trying to sit on your question.
I'm gonna allow it.
I'm just trying to make. I'm trying to make caveats to it, like it don't become too siloed into like a very black man versus black woman, and like we can get into like the root of like the bigger conversation, and that's it.
Only thing I say is I think closeness. I understand black women more than I understand any other woman, and that's why. And I understand black men better than I understand any other man.
I got a couple white
and that's
friends.
the only reason why you may have a couple. I don't. But that's what I'm saying.
They're going through the white guys and white women are having a very similar issue right now.
I just can't say that. That's why I posed it the way that I did.
That's what I'm telling you. I'm
okay, go ahead.
Like I know some white people where they.
I got some white friends.
I got about 3 of them.
Go ahead, Q. Go ahead, bro. My bad.
Yeah, no. I think that you're asking like, all right. So it's a couple ways to kind of like start to unpack it. I think that relationships and relationship issues is not a new thing. This isn't like a specifically modern or whatever type of thing. Like that generally happens. We can look through the history of America and like relationships and the ups and downs of relationships and the back and forth and guys complaining about relationships, women complaining about, like, that's a natural thing that kinda has been the discourse of America.
Right.
Right now, what has happened is the internet, where, and not even like the newer version of the internet, where now us as guys, we're starting to articulate our voice in that. In the past, we just hadn't really articulated our voice. I don't think that that's void of it not being a thing though. Like, you can talk to any older guy, any whoever. Them niggas still got divorced. They still had the relationship
Different
issues.
rates, but go ahead.
They agree with all the shit the young boys be saying.
But
it's just they
here's the funny
couldn't say
thing
it.
though. Like, we talk divorcing, divorce rates are going down.
Because I mean, marriage rates are
think-
going down.
No, but divorce rates are going down as well.
But it would be
That's a
the
good
same thing if marriage rates are going down. The divorce
no,
rates
I'm saying
are
the
going
wouldn't that
percentage-
be a good thing if less people are getting married and then less people are also getting divorced? I mean,
Right,
people
that
that
means-
aren't supposed to be aren't supposed to be getting
and
married.
then more people are like the people that are
That's
deciding
both of
are
those are good things.
yeah, like the
guess.
height of divorce. I was looking this up recently. The
Hold on,
height of
but-
the height of
but-
the, I'm-
Go ahead.
the height of divorces and people getting divorced was like right around in the 90s era. I want to say and it in more modern times it peaked around 2010, but the shit's been dropping. Like it did something like this. And this is from like the introduction of maybe like 1970, 80 or something like that. Where I think 80s is when it really started to peak up. But in general, modern times, like in today's time, I don't think that there's any more crazier disconnect than when they wrote Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus or whatever that book was. Like, it's always been its own different like dynamic.
So what is it now? Is what I'm asking.
The same as always. I think that men and women
You're just
figuring
seeing
each other
more
out. And
of it.
relationships between friends and women and whoever is difficult. And like right now, we just hear everybody.
So you're saying that the reason that the disconnect is because we quit on each other?
No, it's because
I
it's
didn't go
all-
anywhere
The,
near
the
that.
disconnect
I'm
you're
trying to
talking
figure
about. No, I'll help simplify your point.
Go ahead.
And what he's saying is the disconnect that you're talking about has always been
existed.
there.
No, I
Yeah,
get
You're-
that part.
You, because of today's internet, are seeing
Nigga, I'm
a
talking
different
about
side
regular
of it.
people. Y'all keep talking about the internet. I'm talking about people in real life. What I'm saying is that
Okay,
No,
where is that
we're
disconnect?
saying that you hear it more because of the internet, or because of the people. Like
People are
so, like
more
regardless, it
comfortable
was
talking
always
about
going to
their
be guys. Like
relationships.
those guys were always going to exist, right?
okay, so
I don't think that that's anything different.
So you're telling me that you believe that the population of people that in their senior years, the population of people that will be married in their senior years will be the same as it was during the time that before us. In their senior years. So what I'm saying is that
Are you talking about staying married? Or are you talking about people that are getting remarried?
no, I'm
Or
talking
you
about people that will be married just in general in their senior years, right? So we could say like what I started to think about is those Social Security ages, right? Around the 60, 67.
Most people
and
will
those
probably
ages.
end up
Do you
married.
think the population of people that will be married at that time period will be around the same number as it was in our previous
Absolutely.
generation?
Well, yes,
Absolutely.
because like I mean,
nobody wants to be
honestly,
older
right
than a
now
woman.
there's people that's inside their 60s and 70s that's getting divorced. 50s, 60s that's getting divorced right now.
I just seen a
And separated.
97-year-old dude.
Yeah, I
get
mean, like,
divorced after
It's
77
over with, bro. You
years.
just chalk
Right,
it, bro.
But I also
with.
don't think that that's like a new
Shorty
thing.
cheated
Like, I
on him
think
60 years in the past and still divorced her.
right, but
My
I
nigga
mean,
been hot for 60 years.
Now he just found some letters from like 1943, and bro was like, I cannot believe like.
and I think I remember this. Yeah,
I just saw it earlier, but
Yeah.
bro, after 77 years of marriage, bro called it off because he found some 60-year-old letters that
Well,
she
everybody
sent to
will
her
let
lover.
that go.
yeah, but
And he said,
Yeah, like I said-
77 years of marriage wasn't enough. I'm cutting this shit off.
and I
That's
think
crazy.
that we're saying internet, and I think that maybe that's where the disconnect is coming. But we're talking about just in
influence of
general,
the
like that. Like we say internet because of that. That's what we hear the discourse a lot. You are with a bunch of these people, so like you're just seeing it in real time. And what I'm saying to me is that in general, though, like that community that you're speaking about of you and your guys have always existed.
Of course.
And that's all I'm saying. Like
Yeah,
that,
but-
it's
but
not a new thing.
The only point that I'm making, the reason why I posed the question is that I believe that the thing that was the problem then is not the same thing that the problem. And that's why I asked, what do you think where do you think it lies? That I don't think it lies in the same place as it
Okay.
did for my mom and my pops. I don't think that it's the same thing. That's
So
why I said, what do you think causes? What is the cause of the disconnect? Then you said you don't believe that there's a disconnect. Then I'm saying that, okay, so what is the reason that you feel that we are kind of, because I feel like it's quite apparent. Go ahead. What do you?
No, I was gonna say,
waiting to see.
Well, I've been saying you've been asking us and you don't like our answers,
right? So why do you tell us?
No, nigga, I'm trying to make sure y'all answering the question. Don't seem like you
answered it like really thoroughly twice. So tell us what you think, and we can give our opinion.
So the answer that y'all have given is that it doesn't exist, right? That sounds like it's the same as it's always
we keep
been.
saying like that's not what we're saying. We just saying that it's not different.
Hey, Doc,
we're saying it's the same.
Hold on. Doc, what answer are you getting?
Your opinion.
I'm just trying to ask if he got a different. What is the answer you've gotten from what they say?
Hey, trying to skate around the issues what I'm hearing right now. Like,
Okay.
I don't see the damn answer to the question.
Yeah, I don't hear the answer.
Where's the answer?
Like,
what the fuck? What? So answer it. Go. What is the answer? It shouldn't take that long.
My answer was I think the disconnect you are talking about is exacerbated by the internet, and those guys have always existed in there, and you're just talking about some shit that's always been there. It's not a new thing.
So what is it?
It's an old
nigga, I
thing.
asked the question, what is it?
It's the same shit. The same shit it was 30 years ago.
So what is it?
All right, so
you ain't answering the fucking question.
All right, I was trying to answer it, but to me, I think it's basic relationship issues, and this is what I said a second ago. I don't think that it's anything more indifferent than like men and women sitting down and being inside an extended period of a relationship, and the issues that come with that. Like typically,
which are what?
All right, here we go.
So I'm asking.
Got you. It's going to sound really boring and bland, but there's going to be the financial sector. There's going to be like the relationship dynamic and speaking about emotions and repressing emotions. There's going to be I don't know, like I don't even think like maybe you have like some religious to political beliefs that might clash. But and then there's parenting styles, and that's kind of about it. And that's even what today's relationship dynamics is like speaking about that inside like what today's terminology looks like. But that's kind of what relationship issues are. So Rail, again, I've explained what I think.
Nigga, you just answered the question. Like that's all I asked from the beginning.
Bro, I literally said that already.
You didn't just say what you said.
Jonny, you got mad because he said internet.
Yeah, like, I said that, and then I looped back around and said the word internet.
So you know I'm not mad. I'm just saying I'm not mad.
No. What I'm saying is that
answer the question. No. What I'm saying is,
but I said that
he just directly answered the question.
But I directly did that already.
So you said that it was finances.
I defined it out further because it sounded like you wanted me to like bullet point it. But I said the general relationship dynamics that
he said his answer was going to be that answer.
I said it.
No, but I get it. But you just saying it's the same thing as it always is. Does not directly answer the disconnect because you can sit there and how do I know what you think it always has been?
I was about to say I don't think it is the same as it's always been.
And I don't think it's the same shit.
Right. The same internet that y'all keep dismissing is the issue. Like pretty much people is on the internet all day. Like basically, you kept saying like you kept saying that he's just basically coming up with or that he just gets these ideas from the internet. What I'm saying is these ideas are not.
Say that he.
Well, no, is that not what y'all said?
Hey, no, talking about let Tone finish. Cause I think I might agree with what Tone's saying.
Yeah, what I'm basically saying is like I think the disconnect happens nowadays because people are looking at the internet all day and they're hearing these ideas about these toxic ideas, and toxicity seems to rule the world for whatever reason. But like that's the stuff people pay attention to. Whatever is toxic, whatever is like that's the stuff people paying attention to.
Is that not what we literally said?
But yes, that's like I think we're all agreeing.
But you said you said it don't exist though. Like you saying basically like this stuff always existed. That's not true. Like it has not always been a thing that everybody's in a rush to go to a relationship.
It actually has been a thing for a while because women have been working not since
you said for a while, but y'all a while is one thing, but always has been this way. It's not the case. Like we're in a time where we actually see everything happening now. Like we see a lot of what happens.
Okay, time out.
And also, let me tell you something too. Like, there's also a level of expectation that hasn't always been what it is today. We can't sit here and act like. To me, I think that shit sounds good. There's a level of expectation that is not what it's always been. That's not the truth.
What's that expectation?
When you can go from, like he said, finances. That's not the same. The level of expectation is not the same as it's always been.
To pay all the bills grandmama house.
Right, but my look, also listen, was my granddaddy look, dope. Was my granddaddy also expected to send her on trips and buy Prada bags and buy weave and nails and all this extra shit?
They didn't
Probably
like that
not.
shit, but whatever she wanted back then,
That's
your
not a
granddaddy
real
was
expectation
Your
today.
granddaddy was expected
that's an
to
internet
provide
expectation.
all of it, though.
You said that's the internet expectation. So you telling me?
That's not a.
So you
like,
telling me?
regular, all right. So again, we can pull up stats.
Go ahead. Whatever stats you wanna pull up.
And this is what I'm saying is that like most of that shit is like internet fodder. Like you don't know a bunch of niggas that are paying for women to get flown out and go on vacations. X, Y.
Oh yeah, no, I don't.
But what actually like what real stats say is that right now 40% of women in relationships earn more than their man.
Oh, I believe that.
So like that in itself puts the whole thing on the table.
The only reason why I just said it was because he just said that the
Why you pointing at me?
because you just brought up the shit about the whole y'all niggas was dipping, dodging, motherfucking loop and turn some
nigga,
shit.
you know who been dipping and dodging, Johnny?
Who, me?
You. We done asked this nigga, what is your opinion on it?
Nigga,
I said, no, I want to know you. You didn't.
No, I
nigga,
just asked how you going. The whole shit is to pose a question.
Yeah.
The whole shit is to pose a question.
Answer to said question.
My answer
Like
is
the internet, like we are.
no.
ahead, bro.
My answer.
Let him answer.
No. My answer is that I 100% believe that as men, like so, as a man, I know that I've kind of made up myself to be to look like what the type of women that I would like, right? So I think that naturally men have done that throughout their time, throughout their lives. We've kind of done that. What I think is that even to this day, I think that most men do that. What I believe is I don't believe that. Well, there's a sector of women. Well, actually, no. I think that if
because
let me finish.
Okay, my bad.
I believe that the most women that I see, they don't seem to be trying to do what we want. They're doing what they want, what each other wants. So like it's like they're living for the impression of each other. Well, I mean, me myself, I know I built myself
for the impression of other women.
Yes,
and men are living for the impression of women.
Yes,
okay.
That's what I believe.
Oh, all right. So all right.
That's what I believe. So that's my opinion. That what I see is that is what's happening, and then we're literally missing each other on that. Like, because if you're trying to if your goal is to get married, right? If your goal is to get married, then it would seem to me, especially if you want to be married to a man, it would seem to me that you would care more about what men think and want.
Is that women's goal?
Say it again.
Is that their goal to be married?
Based on my understanding, that's what I hear. But I don't know if they actually want to.
Is that what
and see, that's what I'm saying. There could be a disconnect. That could be the disconnect. Maybe it's that the idea.
Drop it in the comments. Is that, ladies? Is that a thing? Is y'all still trying to get married? We need to know in the comments.
The idea of it sounds good, but maybe that's not what they're putting themselves to.
And just because they say that, is that what they really want?
Hey, so is there a disconnect if we can't understand?
To me, I do think I know what the disconnect is.
Motherfuckers. I'm over here about to break a fucking sweat.
Oh, now you sweating.
Motherfuckers. All right.
But,
excuse my language.
But no, what you said, it spun me to a different space. In which I think that the disconnect is expectations. But I think that it's inside a different version.
No. Before you pick the phone back up.
You see how niggas don't even allow you to get like a whole live point out.
But no, I think maybe
I didn't even get close to getting
my bad. Let him finish.
My bad.
Like, but I mean, like right now everybody's a little bit tribal to like their belief system. And that's where like the big responses are coming from. But this is like a thing that's in general I think is really big. Where I think if I was to like pinpoint a very specific thing that could be a disconnect is expectations. And expectations inside the lens that right now I think that expectations have evolved and we're still trying to live by very different standards, right? So this will be an example that I will give. If we know right now 40% of women are making more than their
traditional. Go ahead.
All right, tap out button.
No, don't tap out.
No, I mean,
don't tap out.
I mean,
y'all trying to gave me shit the whole time I was trying to talk. Now you want to tap out.
Finish. I'm listening. I was listening.
I mean, again, like if
I was listening.
the only thing that I'm saying is that in general, this is like a back and forth thing, and like we can get into the traditional shit later because I think that shit's literally a myth almost now.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's
But my point that I'm making would be that in general, men and women, if there is a disconnect, it's because of we're trying to adhere to older standards that don't apply. So the example that I was going to make was that right now, so if we know that 40% of women make more than their guy, right? If that woman has the standards of like, I want a man to be this traditional thing in which he's going to pay for majority of the bills,
Right.
do
It's
X, Y.
not
Like
gonna
there's a
happen.
clear
It's not gonna
disconnect there because of that doesn't make sense. And what she brings and what she wants to do as a woman, she's not going to be able to fulfill.
With that
so
guy.
right. So then there's always going to be this big clash.
Can I add
and
to
we
that?
can flip that on his head and like vice versa for man, woman, and we can spin it in a bunch of different examples. But I think that readjusting expectations inside relationships is probably the main thing to where we don't live inside the same structure in which our grandparents did.
Can I add to that? Because I guess it has something to do with expectations, but I think it goes men and women. But I think people say one thing
Yes. It becomes a
that
tribal
they don't
conversation online.
that they don't necessarily expect or that they're willing to accept. I think people will say,
Sounds good.
This is what I want. But in reality, what they're willing to accept is totally different than whatever they've put out on the internet.
And that's what we were saying.
I can agree to that too.
Is my deal. So I think what people actually are willing to accept is totally different. And what they say they expect is totally different. It's the expect versus accept.
And this is
I think there's a disconnect there.
And I think that, and also, this is I'm gonna piggyback. This is another one. I agree with that 100%. I agree with that 100%.
we were saying that.
And but
I'm just telling you, that's literally what we were saying.
sounds good.
Sounds
but what I was gonna say was,
Nah, that's the truth.
what I was gonna say was,
Some things
at
sound
the
good
end
and
of the
be true as a
day,
bitch.
at the end of the day, I think that there's a level of acceptance that we aren't willing to do. There's a level of acceptance of what is in front of you. Like,
What you mean we aren't willing? Because there's a lot of people.
No, literally everybody is accepting. Like,
40% of women are accepting men that make less than them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
yeah,
Like,
that's
this is what
40%.
niggas are saying
That means
online,
that there's
that's the
60%, right? That either the man makes
But do
more
you
than
think
them, or
40% of women would go up there and say, "I date a man that makes less than me"? Do you think 40%? No, 40% of women aren't.
No. I agree with that.
And then,
Even
like,
that 40% that you're speaking of, I don't believe that they accepted something.
They
And I
wouldn't-
guarantee
they
you
wouldn't
20
say
to-
they expect it.
That's what I was about to say. They
They
didn't
like, I
expect
date a
it, but
man
they
that makes less
accepted
than
it.
me. How many women would say I would date a man less than me?
Right,
you think
right,
it's 40% of women?
I agree.
Because we're not accounting for like equal or close to as well.
Right.
Like that's probably another good 20 to 25, 30%.
Yeah, probably equal to close to. Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree
in
with
which like and this is what when we say internet. When I was saying internet, I'm meaning like what people say and what people do. There's a drastic change.
No, for sure.
And that and to me like that's where the discourse and like a lot of like the thing comes in that because niggas like people are doing the exact same thing they always have.
I think it is
But
a big.
people say different shit on the internet.
Yeah, but you know something that's crazy too. See, like, and I think that even that
Yeah, it's crazy.
almost is a sound good too, because there's like literally people out here. Like I've seen, I don't know, have you seen the increase of these surgeries?
What surgeries?
The surgeries, like I've seen, like I've been going to North Lake a lot, right? Taking my daughter now to
I
North
think
Lake a
you're talking
lot.
about like BBLs.
Talking about them lifts.
Yeah, I mean whatever the from here to there and all of that shit.
Like
That's what I'm
BBLs
talking
and
about.
shit.
So like I've seen the influx of that. Like, so I go to the mall quite often now.
Hey, let's talk about this. Yeah, I ain't got to do all of that.
And that's again. So that's what I'm
2B
saying.
Fest
Is
show,
there
we support natural bodies.
is there a disconnect on where what we actually want, or is it?
But do you think most men are out there saying I need a BBL? To
No,
be
but
a
what I'm
woman?
saying is that I'm not saying that most men are doing. Most men are saying it, but I think that is something that a more like I think that is not by like a far off thing that I think that a lot of women are thinking of that shit. I think that there are a lot of women that are
women are getting it at
so
all.
you're saying women are getting BBLs to get men, or women are getting BBLs to make to flex on the next
well,
woman?
Shit, it could be. I would say it's
But
probably
women
both,
aren't
but
getting
also some social
BBLs.
media
Like
shit too, probably.
the women that's getting BBLs are inside a minority.
Of course, but I'm talking about that. But it is something that is coming up.
Yeah.
And much more. I've
I
heard
just don't
shit
think
like
the average woman in general.
Well, I mean, I would say that like the average woman probably can't afford it.
Like that shit.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. What it is that what I'm saying. The whole portion of purpose of that is where's the disconnect lie, and I think the disconnect lies between and actually,
can I change?
You can say that the internet. We can say the internet, and that people are projecting something that is unrealistic, and they know that, and that's why you can look at their lives and see the difference in what they're projecting and what their lives have. So, like, I see the validity in the point after y'all have drawn it all the way down. But just to say the internet, Doc, we need some more, you know what I mean? We need some more meat and potatoes so if we can make sure that I understand what you're saying. I guess y'all both goddamn was on the same page, and me and Tone was lost in the motherfucker. So it's good that y'all have broken it down some more. Button it up. Go ahead and button it up.
Button it up?
Button it up.
It's what we all saying. It happens here a lot. I think the same thing happens in the internet versus real life community, men versus women. I think a lot of people be aggressively agreeing. I think we all want the same fucking thing. We want somebody that's gonna hold us down and fuck with us and really love and care for us.
And that's about it.
And men and women, that is just a person, a human, us as humans. That's what we want as humans. We want a partner in life that's gonna hold us down and fuck with us no matter what. Men and women. And I think a lot of times it just gets lost in translation.
No, it's a fact. And I'll add my last little bit to this. This will kind of like go to what I said I was going to hit on, where through us doing like a lot of this like marriage conversations that we did with people, bringing people in. To me, I think like the modern traditional shit is a myth. I think that in general, most people have like a we gonna figure it out attitude, and it's almost like not even really like a blueprint to the shit. Outside of like every single person I heard sit down here be like, me and my wife, for the most, like not even for the most part, we figure it out. And if we ascribe it to a specific thing, it's because we feel tribal to it, but the actions might not line up to whatever that is. And I think that that's a real thing. When you really sit and look at relationships, it ends up being how well do y'all two people end up communicating and figuring shit out.
And this is my last thing, and I'll say this. What I think is that I'm not totally disagreeing with you, but I think that the whole idea of what they pushed as traditional is fugazi ass bullshit. And I think that is where you're because at the end of the day, the reason why I say that is because at the end of the day, you seen movies and shit that said that like that she was getting beat and all of this shit. At the same time, if you listen to since the end of time, they've been saying what is it? Happy wife, happy life. Even when a nigga was making out, even when she wasn't working, they were still on the happy wife, happy life. Niggas been watching movies and all of this bullshit and hearing these one-off stories, and we believe that this traditional shit means that she's a slave, and these niggas regurgitate that shit over and over. And I believe that is what threw the whole traditional scope into this swirl in which these people are talking about it. And they just talking about it in
your grandma getting ass.
Well, no, but here's another thing.
I mean,
here's my thing, bro. Nobody that has a relationship today has a traditional relationship. All relationships are fucking modern.
Like a hybrid. It's a hybrid.
Every single one that we've sat down.
But people literally have relationships in modern times. There's modern solutions for modern problems. And the fucking solutions that your granddaddy and your grandmama came up with probably not going to work for you and your partner.
So yeah, you're still saying the same thing.
Society.
I don't think that.
Why the fuck we even talking about traditional relationships?
It's a full evolution.
We live in the modern times. Every relationship today is modern.
Okay, and in that aspect, I agree with it 100%. So there is, at this point, we're saying that there is no such thing as a traditional. In modern times, there's no such thing as a traditional relationship.
Like if you're a really wealthy person, if you have enough money to really like,
I was gonna say if you don't have
to buy somebody,
if you don't have an iPhone and you got an Android. You might have a tradition.
Here these cats go.
Hey,
that's it.
Fuck y'all.
I knew where this conversation was going.
Traditional nigga stood up.
Hey, put a button in it for real.
Hey, I think that was it. Hey.
Put a button in it.
Hey, we'll put a button in that.
Well, Johnny, I do have something. there's been some things that's been hitting the YouTube streets lately.
Internet streets.
Yeah, the YouTube internet streets.
Internet streets be crazy.
And I think that it's a really interesting conversation for us to unpack, especially being that we're inside this new digital space. As black men, I'll frame it like if we had a headline, it would be the colonization of the black thought. Or maybe we can go of black culture. I think that we can go either way with it.
Gentrifying the struggle.
Another one.
I like to call that gentrifying
And so
the struggle.
for me, like just as an outside observer, me looking at there's been two. I like to call them Langmores. It's been two Langmores inside news lately. And if you know, you know. Y'all get it.
If you know, you know.
But yeah, it's been two Langmores inside the media lately. Just Pearly things. Adam from No Jumper.
What the fuck Adam did?
We can get to it in a second. But what it came down to has been the idea of exploiting and grifting off black culture and black people. Where just Pearly things. This has already been my assumption. I think that I probably had like a conversation with Rail before about it a little bit as well, where I kind of had like this space where at first I was like, there's something about her that I just don't like. It doesn't make sense to me. And for me, when I went to her page and then I was starting to do like unpacking, and then I just looked at the thumbnails, and then it was black faces on there, mainly black women.
Not like her in blackface.
No. Like black women, and it's this Langmore that's telling that's telling black women that they ain't shit. Pretty much, this rich privileged Langmore.
What?
Well, no, that's pretty much.
She was rich and privileged. She can't be a Langmore.
Well, no, I'm just using that as like a general. What is it? Colloquialism.
Colloquialism.
There we go. That's the word.
That's one of my favorite words.
But yeah, just in general. So like that was her, in which in general also watching her take the talking points of Kevin Samuels directly and pretty much black men inside that quote unquote manosphere red pill space and use those as she brings up nothing but primarily black women was like a red flag for me.
But so she was using black men's arguments against black women, black women,
and as
that's dirty,
right?
That's
dirty. White woman,
that's dirty.
And then you're getting praise from black men because you're regurgitating the things that they're saying.
Black men talk like black men gonna fuck with it because
right.
But see, I don't like that.
I don't like
so
that.
So then we also have the Adam No Jumper thing where
what he did.
Pretty much again. The colonization of black culture, the black
like
thought,
the Vlad,
possibly Vlad. I can't.
Is this a specific thing?
Well. So I wouldn't say Vlad at the moment, only because I think that there's a different take in it, right? So with Adam now is inside a transition period where he's starting to pivot his content away from black people, but in doing that. He's bringing in, and what he brought in was like known white supremacists. And he had them sit down on his show and like articulate their points, not really give too much pushback without having a black contrary voice on there.
Their points about
and
what?
Then
what were they talking about?
You had to bring it up. It was him, Destiny, Adam, and maybe one other person, but there was kind of like broadly like going over all of the shit that they kind of talk about. But there was never like he was quote unquote denouncing like his white supremacy, but they never pushed him on any of the points that he ever thought of or where he stood at. This is one of like the Tiki Torch whites. Richard Spencer, that's his name.
And Adam 22
had him on there, yes.
Did a joint with one of them boys from
Richard Spencer. That's his name, Richard Spencer.
He was kind of. I know Richard. I know who you talking about. So you saying Adam had him on his show?
Yes.
And Richard Spencer was talking his little normal bullshit, and bro wasn't like.
Well, like they were just having the full frame conversation of whatever they was talking about. which would deal within the lines of socio-economic, political, racial, whatever.
But you saying Adam was agreeing with?
What I'm saying is that they never, like, it was never a pushback of ideology. Like, you didn't have to be like, yeah, I agree with everything you say.
Yeah, it's almost the
But
same
like,
thing.
if you're platforming white supremacists on a primarily black channel
Him being
that
on your
was grown
show.
by black people that exploits black culture,
that's crazy.
I think that again goes down to like the colonization piece, in which, to kind of end it off, I think that like recently, just Pearly things, what's more recently came out is the fact that like the deals that she's pushing to these black people. Of course, she's already been like in the news because she referred to like the Africans she got working for as her blacks, my blacks.
I got.
But
yeah, she talked about that. Go ahead.
but as well, the deals that she have them in, where like she has like a couple people under her umbrella, and there was this guy Sarah Garvey, I think his name is, and he was speaking about just like
Garvey.
yeah, in which he was speaking about how he was like he peeped some of this shit, so he took a step away, right? He had a conversation with her, and she was like, "Well, I would like to get you back. I want to offer you a contract. There's somebody to help grow a channel."
I imagine he's for black people.
Yeah. He's a black guy.
Okay.
Like black.
Okay.
And
for the struggle.
And in that conversation, he was talking about like how she sat down and she was saying, you know, I don't want to pay you. Like I don't want to guarantee you a salary. I want you in my studio from 7 to like it might have been like from 9 to 4, right? And he was like, okay, cool. What's my guaranteed salary? We don't do guarantees. So like, well, what is my splits? She say, you're a high end talent. I'm 70-30. And he was like, oh, well, so 70 for me and 30 for you?
For the shit I'm in.
No. You're high end, so I'll give you 30 and I'll take 70 of the profits.
Of the shit I'm in.
Of the shit that I'm solely doing. Just because it's under your umbrella. And he was like, wait, you said that I'm the high end. So like you got a couple other people. What's the regular low end shit? And she doing 15 what is that? 15, 85 splits,
taking them
80-20, and these are black people underneath her. And which is like, again, the colonization of the black thought. And that's, like I said, an interesting little space that I love to unpack. I know I kind of went and I wanted to make sure I laid it all out fairly. Give me your thoughts.
I got a couple. When it comes to just in general, I think gentrifying black thought and black struggle or colonizing black thought. I call that shit gentrifying the struggle. Where it's a lot of times where like, see, I ain't gonna do the isms, but there's groups that use the same playbook Martin Luther King and them use as far as like to bring awareness to their issue. But like the original issue in America is racism and the way black people were treated. There's a lot of people that copy. You can look at the Martin Luther King. You can even look at motherfucking Malcolm X and the Black Panthers. There's a lot of imitations that come out there, and the group names, I ain't even gonna start listing them, but there's a lot of different groups that like colonize how black people have attacked, how we have dealt with struggle, how we have dealt with the issues we've had to deal with in their culture. They look at what we do and how we address them issues in the different ways. There's thousands of different ways to deal with oppression. Black people are like experts in all of them. It's usually black people that are like dealing with oppression in some type of way, and we're usually figure out a way to do it. But you also see people that steal that shit. You know, whether it come down to certain movements here, you could talk about certain races. It's been multiple times where they've stole how black people have attacked our issues. I call that the gentrifying. When it comes to people like Adam 222 and using a platform that was built by black viewership to motherfucking display white supremacy, that's the easy one. we just gotta quit fucking like us as black people. We could just like if you build up your viewership with black people and then you gonna use this shit to bring a motherfucker from the KKK on. That's a stupid concept because you're gonna literally erode your whole foundation that you built up, and black people just gotta not.
I have a
with it.
question though, for Q. So I was aware of the Adam 22 thing. So when you say he's transitioning his audience base, like what are those signs look like? Because I stopped following him a while ago.
Well, so in general, well, he said it out of his mouth.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
he said that, and all right. So right now, if we're talking about the YouTube algorithm, what is kind of like the most engaging thing is the liberal versus right wing debates. And then
That's supposed to get the most views on YouTube.
Yeah. Like that's kind of like the most popular thing on the algorithm. That, and then like the engaging white or like sit downs with the supremacists almost, or people with like really
Radical.
There we go. That's the word. Radical.
Right wing.
Or like whichever way, like because it goes the other way as well.
Yeah, for
like
sure.
like you can like the sit down with the excessively pro trans like all of these, like these are the things, and that's like where he started to start pivoting towards, where like he's had Nick Fuentes on there.
Oh, okay.
He's had
Same dude
Richard
that just
Spencer.
Pearly had.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like he's had Mr. Girl, I think his name is on it. Like
Mr. Girl.
Yeah.
Okay.
To where like
You know we gotta be talking some shit in
Hey,
girl.
That's
crazy.
yeah. So,
Gotcha. But I guess so. Like
I don't know who
the
he
signs
is.
are there, but he's literally articulated it, and it came to a head because of what ended up happening is that some of his employees, well, the black guys, they took what would be the word, like they didn't like the fact that he brought these people on, or specifically because of when Nick was there, he did have the big black dude. I can't remember his name right now. But he had a black guy there that pushed back on a lot of the shit. And the thing isn't really like the idea of like you can't bring them on, but if you don't actually have an opposing person to articulate the points, then you're just platforming this person.
That's the same thing that Pearly ended up getting herself into.
Yeah.
And like I even listened to her
the
apology.
Yeah,
you know
I
what I mean?
listened to it.
And the thing is, I feel like her apology, which at the end of the day, I don't watch her and I don't know her, so I don't know where
I ain't even know
where it
she
really
did
comes
nothing
from.
or that she had an apology.
Yeah, I don't know where it really comes from because I don't know anything about her. So, but I know the regurgitation of those things, like you say, the things that get the black man, like, you know what I mean? And to me, I'd say that I agree with Jonny, like, and I've been that way for quite some time, where it comes down to being intentional about what you intake. Because we can't sit here and, at the end of the day, if we're complaining about it, because we're in a time period, what the internet does is it makes infamy grand. So it's almost like, okay, so you'll watch something just because you don't like it, so you will send it to a whole bunch of people, and you'll make these people famous
for something
that you actually do not like.
Disagree.
Exactly. So we're in a place now where these people are making money simply off of the fact, which I mean, I guess they've always kind of done it, but with this internet and the way that it's moving,
that's marketing.
It actually makes it like
marketing. That's smart. Like,
right, but see, I think the Pearly thing, I push back on that a little bit only because of, I think that with her, this is where the grifting word comes in. It's when you're saying the things that you think that they want to hear, and it's by a white voice or different voice, only to exploit it.
Well, I think
that's where it is. Where and with her, Adam and her, like that's the difference, is that she's just parroting the things that niggas want to hear. So it's actually what you want to share. And
that Miss Pearly shit worse.
Yeah,
that's conniving.
And then also
when you say shit that you know that I'm gonna agree with, but I'm not gonna agree with you saying it, but you're saying it anyway because if Rail could say it, or Quint could say it, or Tone could say it, I'm gonna agree with it. But if motherfucking a white girl from my job say that shit, I'm not gonna agree with it, or I'm gonna have a question of why are you saying this shit? Versus like, I know why Rail's saying. I know why you saying. Why the fuck are you saying it as a white woman?
And why you digging down?
And
so
why
hard
you
on
digging
it?
down that hard
then,
on it?
what
Like
makes it
as
the
a
worst?
white woman, like where the fuck are you coming from with this?
Especially if you've
Like, where
not
are you-
lived that experience. And that's the thing with her is that
Right.
she's in literal out, even to like she's not married and you're giving marriage advice. You don't have you're a business minded woman
coming from
and
with
you're
that?
talking about modern women and shit like that and how they're not submissive.
That's fact.
To where like it's a really interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
Where like
And you gotta ask yourself, what's the motivation behind it? Or
Yeah,
what are you,
I actually.
You know, honestly,
what are you
I don't think
what are
that
you
the-
trying to get at?
I
in
think
the-
it's all monetary.
I find
yes,
the Pearly
I
It's all
agree. And that's,
monetary.
that's where the grift part is.
Yeah.
Like it's exploiting. For
You don't think it's nothing? You don't think it's?
I don't think
you don't think
so.
there's no other conniving?
I don't think so, 'cause you know the thing is-
motivation behind it other than just getting paid.
Yeah, you know
What
the
else would
reason
you
why
wanna
her,
say?
you know the reason why her female, I mean
say it.
her guest base is what it is because that same dude you talking about is the one that has the connections to the community that's bringing
Well, no,
all
that's a
of these.
different one.
Okay.
Most of her staff in general is black.
Okay, so there's a dude that does all of the like getting all of the women to come on.
Yeah, no,
he's a black
I,
man,
yeah,
and
I've
he's
heard,
literally
no,
like
she had a recruiter that was black,
recruiter. That's what he is.
but her engineer is black.
Yeah.
Most of her like she employs two black so she has two black YouTubers that's under those 2080 contracts. She has like when the people that edit her video and do her outsourcing is in Nigeria.
I was about to say those from
So like she has like her whole workforce in which she also has been on different podcasts bragging about how she gets the cheap labor and shit like that are all black.
Okay, so just with that being said, it's like I feel two different ways about both of the situations
have a
specific
white girl.
to what you just had. Like
We need a white girl on staff.
I haven't watched either one of these. I don't.
Let's don't get off.
I don't watch either one of these shows, but just with Pearly and everything, what she's doing right there is like on the side of the things where I feel like that's disgusting. Like just her in general, I'm disgusted by what she's doing.
Fact.
On the other side of things, where you was talking about Adam 22 and him bringing like these different perspectives on there, I did have a question I was trying to get in there.
Okay.
As you was watching this, did you learn anything different from their perspective that was a positive take?
I would say that. All right, so I watched the one with
Great
Richard
question.
Spencer and
Fuentes.
Richard. No, not. It was Richard Spencer and Destiny, and I think that what they talked about was good. But where the issue came in is that if you don't push back on like the whole Tiki Torch shit, if you don't not even push back, if you don't bring any of that up and allow him to expound on how he's evolved, then like that's where the issue comes at. Because then you're like soft exposing a whole group to somebody that might have really
Racism.
right. Like it's just
Simple as that. It's
a
racism.
like it's a soft segue into that. Where with that's where they missed the mark on the conversation. And that's where most of the pushback came in at. It's because of like they talked about like current day shit and different things like that, but there was never an assertive effort to like, hey, let's address the whole Charlottesville shit that you was the head of.
That sound like that.
Hey, let's let's go through the journey. Like, how has your actual thought process evolved if it has evolved?
That sounds like that horseshoe theory where like you can be on opposite ends of the spectrum, but your points of argument can sound similar. And to where if you don't really explain your whole process to end up on either one of those extremes, and you're just talking about the shit at the extreme, you're not talking about how I got to the extreme or any of
Or
the
how I
thought
came back
process,
from the extreme.
or how I came back.
Yeah, I think that's the part right
You're
there.
not talking about any of the thought process to the extreme or back from the extreme. You're just talking about the thought at the extreme on either one point, where if I'm on this left side or this right side, my thought process, or when I get to the extreme, it can sound very similar, but my thought process to the extreme can be totally different, or my thought process back from the extreme can be totally different. But when I'm at the extreme, the talking points sound very similar.
And that's my
No
exact,
matter
that
what
was
side
exactly
you're
the point I was about to make though. I think like a lot of the times, like you said, the process, if we actually have those, I think those conversations are needed. So
I know. I like
sure.
the conversation as
Yeah.
long as there's an opposing.
And I can
that's
agree
the
with
thing.
that. I
See,
can
what
agree
you-
with that.
what
There
you-
should
what-
be an
You
opposing.
gotta work
sounds
it
like-
to the extreme and then back from the extreme on both sides. You gotta.
What it sounds like is that he introduced this guy to the community of black people that watch him without allowing them to know who exactly he is.
Yes.
So you've introduced this racist guy as just, you know what I mean?
Like it
And
was
I
a
didn't get to
soft
see it.
introduction.
Yeah, like you said, a soft
Without
introduction to this
explaining
guy
that
because
shit.
at the end of the day, you would know. And the reason why I would say that you did it that way, because to me, if you really wanted to get the views, is like that would have been the first thing I would have brought up. Let's talk about the Charlottesville shit. You know what I mean? Otherwise, if we're not going to talk about it, then it's purposeful. It's purposeful not to talk about it.
Let's talk about that Charlottesville shit and why that's important to why you're here today.
Yeah, like
And
we
your
just
thought
need to allow
process
because
from it.
if
And then vice versa.
literally, if you have your major community or your major demographic is going to be black, probably black men. Because men watch more podcasts and shit, just that's based on the statistics and shit. So if you open up with the Charlottesville shit, then first off, you're gonna get niggas that's gonna disconnect off the rip.
But if
You
they're
gonna get some-
I don't
explaining,
know. I
But
think
if
that
he's
most of them want to
explaining-
hear him.
if he
go back and
explains it,
forth.
I didn't
Yeah.
listen to it. Whether I agree with you or not, I will listen to your explanation.
Yeah,
But if you
it's-
overly humanize him by never getting into like any of his fringe points, then you're able to kind of again it's a soft introduction. It was like,
Exactly.
well maybe let me listen to him a little bit more.
Exactly. So
and it leads you down like this negative negative line.
yeah.
Like I would click on it initially, be like, oh he got him on here. He
me
must
see what
got
he gonna
somebody
say.
else. To where I want to hear his viewpoint put up against the fire.
Mhm.
And yeah,
Yeah, no, that's crazy, and I don't know why in me like with the just Pearly things. It was like her
Yeah.
the way she explained it off. It was like I could see these little mistakes, but at the same time, do we?
no, but when you put in context the full frame of it, and it
And that's
wasn't.
why
I heard Homeboy, the Sarah Garvey dude,
Mm-hmm.
which he was a guy on there for a little bit, and then he pretty much backed away like maybe 6 months ago, and then he explained why, because he was starting to see a lot of this shit,
that underlying shit that was always
Yes.
there.
and then like I said, he recently had like once the whole little shit happened. He had a little coffee thing with her just to kind of
Oh, yeah,
like
she talked about that.
Be like actually have like a real conversation with it. Like if I know you and you done fucked up, I'd be like, hey, let's sit down and like have a conversation, bro. And that's kind of what it was. But then she put a contract on the table, like, nah, I want to get you back here, but this is what we're doing it for. And which was like an exploitative deal. And I think like he even like rewound and showed like a clip of him showing her like the colonization mindset of Europeans in Africa. And he literally showed her that, and he referenced a book for her to read, and of course, like she kind of like brushed it off.
Yeah,
Yet in the digital space, she's doing
it. Yeah, he
Like,
was-
when
She's
you're-
taking his idea.
Well, you got to think about it. If your whole workforce, the person that runs your
Yeah.
engineering, people that do all of
Editing.
your editing and everything, plus the people that you're employing,
if they all
you're getting
think if they all think this way,
no. If you're getting all of them for cheap, and then the people that's working for you, you got them in 3-year contracts in which you are getting the levy of the deal, bro. That's colonization of the black thought.
yeah. Well, I mean,
I don't know any other way to kind of look at it.
That's crazy.
Well, let's
That's crazy.
let's do this then. Let's do this.
Uh-oh.
Black people. Real talk. There's a lot of black talent out there.
Look at that.
Now you just made it up crazy.
Nah, for real, black people.
Go ahead, bro.
Don't sign don't sign these slave deals, bruh. Don't give your motherfucking intellectual IP away.
Right.
Like if you thinking about this shit and we know how these white motherfuckers doing this shit, we know the like we're sitting up here giving the whole Miss Pearly, motherfucking we showing you the motherfucking game plan. We showing you this shit. Black people, don't go and fall for this shit no more, man. These white motherfuckers don't got your best interest at heart. Like real talk. Don't go sign these deals. Don't go, especially for a white motherfucker that's on the internet creating their own intellectual property in their own spaces and shit like that, and you don't even know where they heart truly at. Like, come on, black people. It's a bunch of black motherfucking space on that internet you could be giving your heart work and your effort too. Like you come work for the 2BFest show, we wouldn't fuck with none of that shit, bro. I swear to God.
Hey, and I like,
I swear to God, but
I,
you go work for Miss Pearly. Who you think gonna treat a young black woman coming up in that space better, us or Miss Pearly?
For sure.
Come fuck with the 2BFest show. We ain't got no death row contracts or none of that shit.
yeah. And I guess what it would lead me
That's
to
real
get to
talk.
would be the idea of just being weary of people in black spaces. There we go.
Black
Being
spaces.
weary of people in black spaces.
That's not black.
That's not black.
That's
Yes.
not black.
Not even
And it's not even the fact that like every person inside black spaces is negative. Because I don't think that
It
either.
is not,
Like
for sure.
I've met a bunch of them. I'm friends with some, and I like shit. Like Miss Amy, she's even one of them where like they're just kind of like they're cool people that's in black spaces. They enjoy the culture
Yeah,
and they're not exploiting it. Like they
That's
just
facts.
enjoy the shit.
It's some snakes
But-
that's not poisonous.
Right.
It's
Well,
some
I don't want to.
snakes that'll bite
That's
your
a
ass.
crazy. Well, that's a crazy
It's
one.
some snakes that'll bite your
You
ass.
said, I want to agree to that, but then you still saying
they
it.
call snakes.
All right, so I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't agree with what Johnny just said, but
Hey,
but
or that C word about to come out and say a couple of them.
Right,
that old
right.
that C
You better
word.
say it.
but no, I do think that be weary because of there are very interesting tactics that we have seen played out over generations, over decades, over centuries.
Facts.
That you can see happen to our resources. And again, here in America, I think our biggest resource is our culture.
For sure.
That's each
It's
other.
not even the thing. That's a fact.
No, it is.
But-
Us as blacks, our biggest export is our culture, and seeing black culture exploited and colonized. For me, we see it in music already.
But black
Like
people-
we have to eventually start taking that space. I mean, taking that piece where we have to be weary and not allow the exploitation and the colonization of the black culture, black thought.
And I think
But
that comes
black
down to morals
culture-
and character. Like morals
Shit.
and character.
Say it again.
Morals and character. I think they come down to morals and character. Like we
okay.
tend to value at this point the dollar more than we value the
Tone.
content of character or morals.
Tone, one thing you gotta understand when we talk about black culture, we gotta understand what that means. When we talk about black culture is black people. That is the shit that we do every day, and it ain't like it's easy to be like, well, I'm gonna sign this contract and give my thoughts and my my expertise on black culture, but like that's what we're talking about. Like like black culture is black people and black like the thoughts that we're thinking. We can't just sign that away to these people.
I agree.
To
That's
these
why I
different
said we need to
corporations.
start
It is-
having morals
It
and
is
character.
literally us and our thoughts, our intellectual property, our ideas, our music. All of that is very easy to just give it away for $1.
That's what I'm saying.
It's
A lot of
very
these people are
easy to
giving
do
away
it.
stuff
We gotta
for $1.
understand the true value. The
of it.
true value in that shit. Cause these white people, whether a white person own it or whether we own it, guess what? Them white people gonna come and pay for that shit. They gonna come and pay. They've always, since music's been around, they've always paid to come and watch black people do it. That's why they had the segregated shows when they wanted to see motherfucking Jim Brown and them boys, motherfucking James Brown and the Temptations and all of that shit. They knew the motherfuckers sung better than Elvis.
Yeah, and the difference
They
back in
knew
the day, though,
they knew the motherfuckers
those-
sung better than Elvis.
those same
James
artists you're
Brown
talking
versus
about-
Elvis, who they was paying to see? James Brown, they paid to go see Elvis because it was a show and you ain't have to deal with none of black people and shit. But they knew who it was and who was stealing what from what. They knew that shit.
Oh yeah, those same artists you was just referring to though, those same artists, some of those same artists didn't put up with a lot of stuff either. They had morals and they had character. So they wouldn't perform certain places if you treated them a certain way. And they wouldn't do certain stuff. In this day and time, we got a lot of people who doggone
for sale. And that's just what
and
it's.
that's
That's
the whole
why I
thing.
always talk about that
He
position
to that
over
point
paper.
I was trying to get to it.
Exactly.
Position over paper.
They ain't sell that shit. But yeah, it's about that time. I think this is a good space. We'll go ahead and unless y'all niggas wanna, end it with something else. But I think that's a good spot to wrap it up.
I'll leave that one up to y'all boys. If you put the pin in.
Yeah, we'll put a pin in there. I wanna say
drop the
before we put a pin, I wanna say hit that notification button right up there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and subscribe to the To Be Fair Show on Facebook, the To Be Fair Show on Instagram, the To Be Fair Show on YouTube.
Okay.
Go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification button right up there. One more time, do it, fella. One more time, right up there. Yeah. I am your host, Johnny P.
Old head real.
It's Q.
And we out.